Jefferson Nickel 5-cent 4 coin, United States of America. Every great collection has a story hidden beneath its surface, and sometimes that story begins with a humble 5-cent coin that countless Americans once carried without a second thought. Among the many Jefferson nickels produced over the decades, collectors often group several representative pieces together to compare subtle differences in design, strike quality, preservation, and mint production, creating what many casually refer to as a 4-coin collection. At first glance, these nickels appear nearly identical, yet careful observation reveals fascinating details that transform ordinary pocket change into historical artifacts. Each coin reflects an era when the United States Mint balanced artistic craftsmanship with the enormous challenge of producing millions of coins for daily commerce. Every portrait of Thomas Jefferson captures a familiar profile created by Felix Schlag, while the reverse proudly displays Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate, a symbol of knowledge, architecture, and American history. These coins quietly witness changing decades, passed through countless hands, traveled across cities and rural communities, and participated in everyday life before eventually finding their way into albums, dealer inventories, and private collections where their stories continue to unfold. The excitement for collectors comes not from imagination, but from learning how even tiny differences in strike, preservation, and production history can separate one seemingly ordinary nickel from another. The historical background behind these Jefferson nickels adds another layer of fascination, because each coin represents a snapshot of American manufacturing during a specific period of national development. The United States Mint produced enormous quantities of 5-cent coins to meet commercial demand, yet the conditions inside each mint facility naturally created slight variations from year to year, and from one production run to another. Skilled engravers, die makers, press operators, and inspectors all contributed to the finished product, but no manufacturing process is absolutely identical every time. Dyes gradually wore with use, polishing occasionally altered design details, and striking pressure sometimes varied enough to produce sharper or softer impressions. These natural production characteristics have become part of what modern collectors enjoy studying. Rather than searching only for age, experienced hobbyists often compare lettering sharpness, Jefferson's hair details, Monticello's architectural lines, rim strength, and the definition of the famous front steps. Such careful observation transforms a common circulating coin into an educational lesson about American minting technology and industrial craftsmanship that continues to inspire new generations of collectors. As decades passed, circulation became one of the greatest influences on the appearance of these coins. Millions entered cash registers, vending machines, banks, and household change jars, gradually developing the marks of everyday commerce. Small scratches, softened design elements, worn lettering, and reduced luster became normal signs of honest circulation. Meanwhile, a much smaller number escaped heavy use by remaining in original mint sets, bankrolls, personal collections, or forgotten storage boxes. These better preserved examples often display brighter surfaces, stronger mint frost, cleaner fields, and more complete design details that immediately capture the attention of experienced collectors. Preservation, however, should always be judged carefully because cleaning, polishing, or improper storage can permanently affect a coin's originality. Natural toning, when developed gradually over many years, may be appreciated by some collectors, while artificial alteration generally reduces desirability. Understanding the difference between natural aging and damage requires patience, experience, and careful comparison rather than quick assumptions based solely on appearance. One of the most exciting aspects of studying Jefferson nickels is the possibility of discovering legitimate mint varieties or production errors that occurred during the manufacturing process. These may include double design elements, repunched mint marks on older issues where applicable, off-center strikes, clip planchets, die cracks, die chips, broad strikes, or other authenticated minting anomalies created before the coins left the mint. Such pieces naturally attract additional interest because they represent unusual moments in production process rather than intentional design changes. Nevertheless, not every unusual mark is a genuine mint error. Damage from circulation, environmental exposure, machinery outside the mint, or post-mint alteration can easily resemble authentic varieties. For this reason, collectors are encouraged to study reliable reference materials, compare verified examples, and seek professional authentication whenever uncertainty exists. Careful examination under proper lighting with magnification often reveals details that cannot be appreciated through casual inspection alone. As interest in numismatics has expanded, collector discussions, auction archives, and educational publications have highlighted how condition significantly influences market interest. Many circulated Jefferson nickels remain affordable historical collectibles, making them enjoyable entry points for beginners, while exceptional examples preserved in outstanding condition naturally receive greater attention. Coins displaying original mint luster, crisp strike quality, minimal contact marks, and complete design details may be considered for professional grading. Authenticated high-grade examples or verified mint-era coins may attract stronger collector attention and, in some cases, reach significant auction or private sale values, depending on rarity, condition, grading results, and current market demand. It is important to remember that reported values are estimates drawn from collector discussions, auction records, and observed market activity, rather than guaranteed selling prices. Markets change over time, collector preferences evolve, and individual transactions may differ considerably based on timing, demand, certification, and eye appeal. For anyone examining these Jefferson nickels today, careful observation remains far more valuable than rushing to conclusions about rarity. Step 1 Jefferson Nickel 5 cent 1943 P, United States of America. At first glance, this wartime 5-cent coin may appear to be another ordinary piece of American currency, yet it carries one of the most remarkable stories in the history of United States coinage. The year 1943 placed America firmly in the middle of World War II, a time when factories, families, and communities were united in an enormous national effort. Every strategic metal mattered, and even the smallest coin became part of that larger mission. Instead of quietly continuing business as usual, the United States Mint introduced a dramatic change to the Jefferson nickel that reflected the nation's wartime priorities. The familiar design remained recognizable, but the metal hidden beneath its surface was transformed to conserve nickel for military equipment. Suddenly, an everyday coin became an artifact of global history, linking ordinary pocket change to extraordinary events unfolding across battlefields and factories. Decades later, collectors continue searching for these coins because each surviving example preserves a tangible connection to one of the most significant periods of the 20th century. Unlike earlier Jefferson nickels made from a traditional copper-nickel alloy, the 1943 P issue belongs to the famous wartime silver nickels. Its composition consists of copper, silver, and manganese, giving the coin a distinctive appearance that often develops soft gray or golden toning after decades of storage. One of its most recognizable characteristics is the oversized P mint mark placed prominently above Monticello on the reverse, marking the first time the Philadelphia Mint placed its identifying letter on a circulating United States coin. This unusual placement immediately separates the wartime issues from most other Jefferson nickels and allows collectors to identify them quickly. The obverse features Felix Schlag's portrait of President Thomas Jefferson with carefully sculpted facial details and balanced lettering, while the reverse showcases Monticello with elegant architectural symmetry. Together, these design elements combine historical symbolism with practical wartime innovation, making the 1943 P one of the most distinctive Jefferson nickels ever produced. Although millions of these coins entered circulation during 1943, their journeys rarely remained identical. Some traveled through countless cash registers, military bases, train stations, grocery stores, and neighborhood businesses before eventually disappearing into jars, drawers, or forgotten collections. Others escaped heavy circulation and retained much of their original mint luster, allowing modern collectors to appreciate the crisp strike and intricate design details that many circulated examples no longer display. As decades passed, exposure to moisture, fingerprints, cleaning attempts, and environmental conditions created an enormous range of preservation quality. Some examples now display attractive natural toning, while others reveal scratches, dull surfaces, or worn lettering from years of everyday commerce. Every surviving coin reflects a unique history, making no two collections exactly alike. Collectors often examine the 1943 P. Jefferson nickel with remarkable attention to detail, because subtle differences can significantly influence collector interest. Careful observation of the steps leading to Monticello, the sharpness of Jefferson's hair, the clarity of the lettering, The rim definition and the overall strike quality helps determine how well a particular coin was produced and preserved. Specialists frequently discuss examples displaying strong, full steps, a designation generally reserved for coins showing exceptionally complete step details beneath Monticello. While not every well-preserved coin qualifies for this distinction, examples that do often receive additional attention from advanced collectors. Enthusiasts also remain interested in verified mint varieties or genuine mint errors, including double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, clip planchets, or other unusual production characteristics that develop during the minting process rather than through later damage. As excitement surrounding the 1943 P. Jefferson Nickel has grown, discussions about value naturally follow, but experienced collectors understand that no single price applies to every coin. Market values vary according to preservation, originality, eye appeal, grading results, verified varieties, and current collector demand. Circulated examples typically remain affordable historical collectibles, while attractive uncirculated pieces often receive greater interest because of their stronger visual quality. Authenticated high-grade specimens or verified mint error coins may attract considerably stronger collector attention and, in rare cases, reach significant auction or private sale values, depending on rarity, certified grade, and market conditions at the time of sale. These figures should always be viewed as estimates based on collector discussions, auction records, dealer listings, and broader market observations rather than guarantees of future performance or financial return. Anyone discovering what appears to be a valuable 1943 P. Jefferson Nickel should approach the evaluation process carefully and patiently. Instead of relying solely on internet photographs or informal opinions, collectors benefit from examining the coin's weight, overall metal appearance, strike alignment, rim integrity, lettering quality, and surface preservation under proper lighting. Because wartime silver nickels possess a unique alloy, their color and aging characteristics may differ noticeably from standard Jefferson nickels produced before or after the wartime period. Suspicious alterations, harsh cleaning, environmental damage, or counterfeit examples can sometimes mislead inexperienced buyers, making professional authentication or grading an important step before making significant buying or selling decisions. Independent expert evaluation helps establish confidence while preserving the historical integrity of the coin itself. Beyond its collectible appeal, the 1943 P. Jefferson Nickel serves as a quiet reminder that history often survives in the smallest everyday objects. Every coin represents a moment when national priorities reshaped American manufacturing without changing the public's daily need for circulating money. Holding one today means holding a piece of wartime resourcefulness, industrial adaptation, and artistic continuity all at once. Step 2 Jefferson Nickel 5 cent 1944 P. United States of America. In the middle of a world engulfed in conflict, when factories roared day and night and American life was shaped by wartime urgency, the United States Mint continued striking one of its most quietly historic coins, the 1944 P. Jefferson Nickel. At first glance, it looked familiar, almost ordinary, carrying the same Jefferson portrait and Monticello design that Americans had seen for years. But what made this particular coin special was the era it came from and the subtle wartime adjustments hidden within its metal. During the 1940s, nickel was a critical war material, and by 1944 the composition of 5-cent coins had already shifted into the famous wartime alloy, blending silver, manganese, and copper in place of the traditional nickel content. That change alone transforms the 1944 P. Jefferson Nickel from a simple circulation coin into a tangible artifact of global history, reflecting how even everyday money was reshaped by the demands of war. As production continued at the Philadelphia Mint, the 1944 P issue was struck without a mint mark, a small detail that collectors still study closely today. Each coin was pressed under heavy industrial conditions, where speed and volume mattered as much as precision, resulting in coins that often show a wide range of strike qualities. On the obverse, Thomas Jefferson's profile remains calm and composed, yet the fine details of his hair and facial features can vary depending on how sharply the dies struck the planchet. On the reverse, Monticello stands as a symbol of American ideals and intellectual legacy, but even here, collectors often look closely at the steps leading up to the building, where definition and sharpness can dramatically influence desirability. In 1944, these coins were not made for beauty contests or collections. They were made to move through millions of hands during a time of rationing, uncertainty, and global transformation. The wartime alloy itself adds another layer of intrigue. Unlike modern nickels, the 1944 P carries a distinctive metallic composition that can slightly change its tone and aging pattern over time. Some examples develop a softer gray-silver appearance, while others retain a brighter, almost reflective surface depending on how they were stored and handled. This unique composition also gives a coin a slightly different weight feel compared to standard nickels, something experienced collectors often notice immediately. Because of the silver content, these coins were often saved in greater numbers once people realized their metal value was different from regular circulation coins, helping preserve higher quality specimens in certain collections and hoards. Over decades of circulation, many 1944 P nickels experienced heavy wear, especially those that passed through wartime commerce when coins changed hands rapidly in factories, shops, and transportation systems. As a result, finding sharply struck examples today can be more challenging than expected. Collectors often pay close attention to surface preservation, mint luster, and the overall strike clarity when evaluating a coin's condition. Even minor scratches, dulling, or contact marks can significantly affect how a piece is graded by professional services. Yet despite this wear, the coin's historical weight often remains intact, making even average examples meaningful reminders of a critical period in American and world history. One of the most fascinating aspects for collectors is the presence of subtle variations and mint anomalies that occasionally appear in 1944 P. Jefferson nickels. These can include weak strikes, die cracks, repunch details, or minor planchet irregularities that occur during mass production. While most are not extremely rare, certain combinations of condition and error characteristics can draw increased attention from dedicated numismatists. Full steps examples, where the steps of Monticello are clearly and completely defined, are especially sought after as they indicate a strong strike and careful die alignment. These visual details often become a deciding factor in whether a coin is considered common or truly collectible within high-grade circles. When it comes to collector interest and market behavior, the 1944 P. Jefferson nickel occupies an interesting position. It is not a rare coin in terms of mintage, but its wartime composition and historical context give it lasting appeal. Most circulated examples are valued modestly based on condition, often only slightly above face value in worn grades, while well-preserved mint state pieces can reach higher ranges depending on eye appeal and certification. In certain cases, authenticated high-grade specimens or coins with verified mint errors may attract stronger bidding activity at auctions or private sales, though all such values remain highly dependent on market demand, grading standards, and timing. It is important to understand that these figures are not fixed or guaranteed, but rather reflect trends observed in collector markets and historical sales records. For anyone studying or collecting this coin, careful inspection becomes essential. Examining the weight consistency, metallic color, strike alignment, rim quality, and lettering sharpness can reveal a great deal about its authenticity and condition. Lighting also plays a crucial role, as original mint luster can appear differently depending on angle and environment. Many collectors strongly recommend professional grading or authentication services before making any significant buying or selling decisions, especially when dealing with higher grade or error-claimed examples. This helps ensure that the coin's true condition is accurately represented and reduces uncertainty in valuation discussions. In the end, the 1944 P. Jefferson nickel stands as more than just a 5-cent piece in the past. It is a physical reminder of wartime America, industrial adaptation, and everyday resilience during one of history's most defining eras. Each coin carries subtle traces of the time it was made, from its metallic composition to its production quirks, and from its circulation wear to its surviving luster. Whether discovered in an old collection, inherited from a family estate, or carefully pulled from a coin roll, it continues to spark curiosity among collectors who appreciate both its historical depth and its visual character. If you enjoyed this journey into the story of the 1944 P. Jefferson nickel, make sure to subscribe for more detailed coin histories, hidden collector insights. Step 3, Jefferson Nickel 5 cent 1953 United States of America. opens a quiet but powerful chapter in American coin history, a small 5-cent piece that carries the weight of an entire era when the United States was settling into post-war stability, economic expansion, and a rapidly modernizing daily life, where coins like this moved through millions of hands without anyone realizing they were holding future collectibles. In 1953, the Jefferson Nickel was already a familiar sight in pockets, cash registers, and vending machines across the country. Yet each strike from a U.S. mint captured a precise moment of industrial craftsmanship, blending mass production with subtle artistic detail that would later become the focus of collectors and historians who study these coins decades after they left circulation. On the obverse, the 1953 Jefferson Nickel presents a calm, left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, designed by Felix Schlag, whose vision aimed to preserve a sense of dignity and intellectual strength rather than dramatic flair. The inscription "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date 1953 frame the portrait in a balanced composition that feels simple at first glance but reveals depth under closer inspection, especially when light reflects across higher-grade surfaces. On the reverse, Monticello stands as a symbol of architectural elegance and Jefferson's personal legacy, with fine lines and steps that collectors often scrutinize for sharpness and definition. Struck in a copper-nickel alloy of 75% copper and 25% nickel, this coin was built for durability, but its real beauty emerges only when preservation allows its original mint luster to survive. Production in 1953 took place across multiple U.S. mint facilities, primarily Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, each contributing its own subtle fingerprint to the coin story. Philadelphia issues carry no mint mark, Denver strikes bear a D, and San Francisco coins are marked with an S. And while all three served everyday commerce, differences in strike quality and total mintage have given each variant its own level of collector attention. During this period, the mint was focused on efficiency and volume, producing millions upon millions of nickels. Yet even in mass production, slight variations in die preparation and striking pressure created coins that today stand apart in quality and desirability, especially among those studying early 1950s Jefferson series transitions. As these coins entered circulation, they became part of the rhythm of American life, passing from hand to hand through diners, gas stations, streetcars, and small-town shops, where friction slowly erased their original brilliance. Most 1953 Jefferson nickels experienced heavy circulation where, smoothing Jefferson's cheekbone details and softened the architectural lines of Monticello, until only faint outlines remained. However, a small percentage escaped intense circulation, often stored in rolls, forgotten collections, or bank vaults, preserving their original mint state surfaces. These surviving examples are what collectors refer when discussing higher-grade pieces, especially those that retain strong strike detail and visible steps on Monticello, a feature known as full steps, which has become one of the most important visual indicators of quality in this series. Beyond standard circulation strikes, the 1953 Jefferson Nickel series also attract attention for its potential minting variations and errors, which can dramatically increase collector interest depending on severity and visual appeal. Some coins exhibit double dies, where elements of lettering or design appear slightly duplicated due to die movement during striking, while others may show off-center strikes, lamination issues, or minor planchet irregularities that occur during production process. There are also rare cases where strike weakness or die deterioration creates unusual surface textures that experienced collectors carefully examine, not as flaws, but as historical fingerprints of the minting process itself. These variations transform ordinary coins into unique artifacts that stand out in specialized collections. Collector interest in the 1953 Jefferson Nickel is strongly tied to condition eye appeal and third-party grading assessments, which evaluate factors such as luster, strike sharpness, surface marks, and overall preservation. Coins graded in lower circulated conditions often remain accessible and affordable, while higher mint state examples, particularly those in the MS-65 to MS-67 range with strong full steps designation, attract significantly more attention from dedicated collectors. The difference in appearance between a worn example and a sharply struck, fully lustrous specimen can be dramatic, revealing details that are completely lost in everyday circulation coins, and this contrast is what drives much of the fascination with this date. When discussing value, it is important to understand that the 1953 Jefferson nickel does not carry guaranteed pricing, and any estimates are shaped by market demand, auction results, grading standards, and collector trends that can shift over time. In general, common circulated examples remain modest in value, often only slightly above face value, while uncirculated coins can range into higher single-digit or low double-digit figures depending on condition. Exceptionally high-grade pieces, especially those certified with strong eye appeal or full steps designation, may achieve higher auction results, sometimes reaching into the tens or occasionally higher in specialized sales. Error coins, if verified and visually significant, may also attract premium interest, but outcomes vary widely and are never predictable or guaranteed. In the end, the 1953 Jefferson nickel stands as more than just a small denomination coin. It is a preserved fragment of mid-century America, shaped by industrial precision and everyday circulation, now transformed into a collectible artifact studied under magnification and grading lights. For anyone examining these coins today, the journey begins with careful observation of weight consistency, metal color, strike alignment, rim integrity, and lettering clarity, followed by professional authentication if a piece appears unusual or particularly well preserved. Step lost Jefferson Nickel 5 cent 1984, the United States of America. In the early glow of modern American coinage, the 1984 D. Jefferson Nickel emerges as a small but powerful witness to everyday life inside during the mid-1980s, a time when pocket change still carried the weight of real daily transactions, vending machines clinking in busy streets, and cash registers echoing through small-town stores. Struck at the Denver Mint, this coin was part of an enormous production run. Yet each piece began its journey in precisely the same way, a blank planchet pressed under immense hydraulic force, transformed into a 5-cent symbol of commerce and national identity. At its core, it carries an enduring portrait of whose calm expression on the obverse has remained one of the most recognizable designs in American numismatics, a reminder of ideals that predate the coin by nearly 2 centuries. As the coin enters circulation, its design begins to tell a subtle story through wear, contact marks, and the microscopic changes that occur as it passes through thousands of hands. The 1984 D. nickel features a copper-nickel-clad composition, giving it a muted silver tone that can shift under light from soft gray to a faint bluish sheen when freshly minted. On the reverse, Jefferson's historic Monticello home stands with architectural precision, columns and steps carefully engraved, symbolizing balance, education, and independence. For collectors, those steps are more than decoration. They become a critical detail, often used to evaluate strike quality, especially when searching for sharply defined examples known in the hobby as strong step or full step varieties. The Denver Mint production of 1984 was massive, and because of that scale, most examples entering circulation were never intended to be rare. Yet within this abundance lies a fascination. Small variations created during high-speed minting conditions, slight misalignments, subtle doubling in lettering, or faint distortions in the mint mark can turn an ordinary coin into a conversation piece. The D mint mark itself, placed near the date, sometimes shows repunching or uneven strikes, and these minor imperfections become clues for collectors who study coins under magnification, searching for something that separates one nickel from millions of identical siblings. Over time, these coins traveled through decades of economic change, slipping into pockets during gas station stops, school lunches, arcade games, and toll booths. Most were lost to circulation where their surfaces dulled, their edges softened, and their fine details gradually erased. But a small percentage escaped heavy use, preserved in bankrolls, old jars, or forgotten collections. These surviving pieces, especially those with minimal contact marks and strong luster, are what drive collector interest today. They offer a snapshot of a moment in time, frozen exactly as it left the mint nearly half a century ago. From a collector's perspective, the 1984 D. Jefferson Nickel is not defined by rarity alone, but by condition sensitivity. While most circulated examples remain common and carry only face value, higher-grade specimens evaluated by professional grading services can attract greater attention in the numismatic marketplace. Market observations and past auction activities suggest that premium examples, particularly those with sharp strikes and well-preserved surfaces, may reach elevated collector premiums, though such outcomes vary widely based on demand, grading standards, and overall eye appeal. Importantly, these figures are always estimates influenced by historical sales and should never be treated as guaranteed outcomes. Certain varieties add another layer of intrigue, including coins with minting anomalies such as die cracks, off-center strikes, or subtle doubled elements in lettering. These characteristics were not intentional but occurred during the intense production cycles at the Denver Mint, where dies were used repeatedly under high pressure. Collectors often examine these details closely, not only for value potential, but for the story they tell about the minting process itself. Each imperfection becomes a fingerprint of the manufacturing environment, making every discovered error coin a unique artifact within a massive production year. For anyone studying or handling a 1984 D nickel, careful observation is essential. Experts recommend examining the coin's weight consistency, surface luster, rim alignment, and the clarity of Jefferson's portrait and Monticello's architectural lines. Even small differences in strike sharpness can signal variations in quality or potential collectability. Because counterfeit or altered coins occasionally appear in broader markets, many collectors choose to rely on professional authentication or grading services to confirm originality and condition before making buying or selling decisions, ensuring that every assessment is grounded in verified numismatic standards rather than assumption. In the end, the 1984 D. Jefferson Nickel stands as more than just a piece of pocket change in the modern era. It is a preserved fragment of American daily life, shaped by industrial precision and carried through decades of circulation. Whether discovered in a family collection or pulled from an old roll of coins, it continues to capture curiosity because of what it represents. History, craftsmanship, and the hidden detail inside something most people overlook. And as we close this journey through its story, remember to keep exploring the small artifacts that surround us every day, because sometimes the most ordinary coin can hold the most extraordinary story. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into numismatic history, subscribe for more discoveries from the world of coins and their untold pasts.